There and Back Again, A Goggins Tale, Part 2. The inhabitants of the Prancing Pony watched with bated breath as the strange dark man from the previous night now approached the cloaked Strider, sat at a shadowy table at the back of the room. Strider looked up as the man neared his table, a subtle, almost imperceivable shift under his cloak as he grasped his weapon in case of attack. Outwardly, he gave no reaction as Goggins reached him. "Yo, what's up, homie?" said Goggins, towering above the seated Strider. "You got a thing for little children? Like Epstein?" Strider was momentarily taken aback by the outlandish speech. His tongue is uncouth, yet it does not sound like black speech, he thought. Perhaps he is just an uncommonly large ruffian. "I do not understand your meaning, traveler." "Who are you?" "My name's Goggins. Who are you?" "I am by some called Strider." "What is your business with the hobbits?" "My own motherfucking business. That's what business I have," Goggins responded, clenching his fists at the suspicious man. "Then whom do you serve?" pressed Strider warily, preparing to unleash his sword if his suspicions proved true, that Goggins was a spy for the enemy that had managed to ensnare the ring-bearer. "I serve the United States of America." "Then you are from foreign lands?" Around them, the inn remained tense. All watched the two men, expecting things to kick off at any moment. "So, what business have you with the hobbits?" asked Strider once again. Goggins paused before responding. He decided to follow his gut instinct and see what direction this Strider took based on his information. "I was sent by Gandalf to protect these little fuckers." "Gandalf," gasped Strider, not expecting this turn of events but still not letting down his guard. "I have also been tasked by Gandalf to find and protect the hobbits." "Take a seat, friend. Our paths are aligned for the time being. Share with me the details of your last meeting with Gandalf." And so, Goggins took a seat at the table and filled Strider in about running into Gandalf at Weathertop and the old wizard asking Goggins to help find and protect them, and his later agreement to aid the hobbits in reaching Rivendell safely. "So you are no spy, it would seem." "My apologies. I had to be careful. There are spies everywhere, and you are as dark as any servant of Mordor I have seen." "That's fucking racist." "I meant no insult by it, friend," said Aragorn swiftly, raising a hand in apology. "You spoke of your service to your country. You were a soldier then?" "United States Army Ranger. Survived 3 hell weeks." Strider nodded understandingly. "Hell indeed. The job of a ranger is a lonely one, fraught with perils and hardship. Heavy is its toll upon the body," said Strider, lowering his hood to reveal an extremely weather-beaten face covered in scars. "Damn, brother. You look like she took your house, car, and your kids. With a face like that, your life must be hell." "I am chief of the Rangers of the North." "Fuck yeah," said Goggins, leaning forward and fist-bumping Strider. "I respect the grind, brother. So what's the plan, Chief? Are you coming to Rivendell with us?" "I will join you on the journey, but the road is perilous. It could take us more than 2 weeks depending on how fast the halflings can walk." "Oh, they some lazy motherfuckers, but we can make it work," interjected Goggins. "We must be wary of the enemy. He has spies everywhere and worse, upon the open road." "What spies?" asked Goggins. Strider gestured with a nod over to the bar. "That southerner over there is a spy. I fear he may inform the Black Riders of the Hobbits' presence here, if we raise suspicion." And sure enough, as Goggins turned to look at the man, he appeared to be stealing furtive glances over towards Frodo and the other hobbits now sitting at a small table. "I'll kill that motherfucker," scowled Goggins, starting to rise from his chair, but Strider put a hand on his arm. "It is best to avoid attracting any more attention on ourselves, or the halflings, if it can be avoided." "Yes, Chief. Understood, sir. We should rest now and prepare to begin our journey before first light tomorrow to avoid our departure being noticed." Goggins nodded. As they spoke, There was suddenly a loud commotion behind them. "They're drawing far too much attention to themselves," said an uneasy Strider, looking over at the hobbits. "Stupid motherfuckers." Strider stood swiftly. "We must intervene before things get out of hand." "I got it," said Goggins, also standing. But at that moment, there was a mighty gasp in the room. Mr. Frodo had vanished. "Go," hissed an alarmed Strider. But as Goggins moved towards the center of the commotion in the room, he noticed out of the corner of his eye the squint-eyed Southerner spy moving excitedly towards the exit. He gestured with a nod to Strider to mind the hobbits while he dealt with the compromising spy. "Come here, motherfucker," Goggins roared seconds later as he chased down the terrified spy like a cop after a black perp. He returned to the inn a short time later, finding it still in a frenzied state with the hobbits and Strider nowhere to be seen. He looked over at Butterbur, who was busy calming his disgruntled guests. Seeing Goggins, he pointed a finger upstairs. Goggins got the message. A minute later, he entered the room with Strider and the hobbits, who looked absolutely terrified of the hooded Strider. "The Southerner?" asked Strider. "Dead. Stomped his ass out," replied Goggins casually. "Help us, Mr. Goggins, sir," cried a frightened Frodo, shielding behind him an equally terrified Sam, Pippin, and Merry. "Chill the fuck out, Frodo. He's on our side. This is the real Strider." "You are a friend of Gandalf?" asked Frodo. "But if he's Strider, then who are you?" he asked, looking at Goggins in confusion. "I thought you were Strider." "I'm just the guy he asked to help you, and I delivered the letter he left here with Butterbur. We're both on your side, little man. Both sent by Gandalf to help you." "How do I know?" you began Frodo, but Goggins cut him off angrily. "What happened downstairs? You fuckers really know how to draw attention to yourselves. I accidentally put my finger in the ring. In front of all those people. You got serious problems there, little man. No wonder so many people trying to kill you. You a nasty motherfucker." "I agree. It was not a wise move, Frodo." "Gandalf told you to keep it hidden. Keep it safe," interjected Strider. "I'm sorry, Mr. Strider. My finger slipped in as I fell. It won't happen again, I promise." "You're damn right. I'ma leave your ass here if you do that shit again," barked Goggins in revulsion. "The ring has a mind of its own," nodded Strider, a look of sympathetic understanding on his now unhooded face. "Always it is trying to return to the hand of its master." "I'm missing something here," thought Goggins, thoroughly confused. Something wasn't adding up. "Which ring you talking about, dude?" he asked. "Back in your house, you told me how you was gay as hell, letting every dude, including your uncle, smash. But now you saying that ass ain't even yours. Some other guy owns that shit." Nervously, Frodo put a hand into his coat pocket and pulled out a shiny gold ring. "Oh, that's what you've been talking about," exclaimed Goggins in absolute relief, realizing his misunderstanding. "I thought all you motherfuckers were homosexual." "What is that, my good Goggins, sir?" asked Frodo innocently. "It's when a man makes love to another man." "Abomination," spat Sam in disgust. "Such a thing is unheard of in the Shire," cried Frodo, on the verge of tears from the disturbing information. "It is a work of evil contrived by the enemy, corrupting man to such extent he rabidly mates with other men," said Strider, unmistakable fear in his voice. "If the Dark Lord has his way, I expect this abomination will spread to all corners, unchecked, penetrating every living man." "Glad we cleared that one up," said Goggins innocently after a couple minutes of awkward silence as the group imagined the horrors. "Mr. Strider, I will choose to trust you based on the advice of Mr. Goggins and accept your offer to accompany us on our journey to Rivendell," said Frodo, giving Strider a small smile. "What would you advise me to do? Should we wait here for Gandalf or go?" "I would counsel we leave before first light tomorrow to avoid our departure being known of till we are far away. It's a 2-week journey at best, and we will be lucky if we can reach the other side unscathed." You can rest here in my room, to avoid unfriendly eyes keeping watch on the rooms reserved for hobbits on the ground floor." "Thank you, Strider," said Frodo. After what felt like only minutes since they had laid down and closed their eyes, they were being violently shaken awake by Goggins. Even Strider woke with a start, drawing his blade and jabbing the air in fright. He had fallen asleep on an uncomfortable-looking wooden chair by the window. "It's 4 a.m., bitches. Time to go," he roared like a drill sergeant. After some hushed grumbling, they all got ready. The sky was still dark as they hastily consumed a quick breakfast of bread, cheese, and some dried fruits. The innkeeper, Butterbur, had kindly arranged ponies for their journey, ensuring they were well provisioned for the road ahead. "Stay hard," bellowed Goggins, rallying the weary hobbits as they mounted their ponies. Strider led the way, his keen eyes scanning the horizon, ever alert for any sign of danger. The hobbits followed closely, with Goggins bringing up the rear on foot, opting against a horse, his imposing presence keeping the hobbits moving forward. "We'll leave the road as soon as we're out of sight of Bree," said Strider from the front. "It's too dangerous and is likely being watched." As dawn broke over Bree, the group left the main road for the more secretive path that Strider knew well. This route, although longer and more treacherous, would keep them hidden from the prying eyes of enemy spies and the Black Riders. "Come on, bitches!" shouted Goggins at regular intervals from the rear, ensuring the hobbits remained alert and did not slow down. "I'm not sure I like this, Mr. Goggins," whispered Sam to a Frodo, swaying on his pony due to tiredness. Unfortunately for Sam, the whisper carried to Goggins' ears, who promptly pulled Sam down violently from his pony and began beating him. "Do not intervene," said Strider, holding up a hand to stop the others getting off their ponies to help Sam. "His methods may be strange to you, but it is the way of the Rangers," he said in a reassuring voice. "Poor discipline within the ranks must be dealt with swiftly, or we will all fall to ruin and the abomination will spread." "You just a motherfucking hater," barked Goggins, walking away from the downed hobbit who winced as he pulled himself back onto his pony, looking a bloody mess. After witnessing the heavy beating Goggins had administered to Sam, there was no further grumbling amongst the hobbits, and they maintained a good pace. Days passed in a blur of travel and training, with Goggins pushing the hobbits to their limits during breaks. "We don't stop when we tired. We stop when we done," he would shout, his relentless drive terrifying. Despite their initial reluctance, the hobbits found themselves growing stronger, their spirits lifted by Goggins' relentless energy and Strider's quiet assurance. Even Strider began to weary at the uncompromising pace Goggins was forcing, even though he rode upon a steed and Goggins remained on foot. This is no mere mortal. He must be one of the Mire, reborn in Middle-earth. He thought in reverence at Goggins' inhuman capabilities and wondered how capable he'd be in battle. As the days turned into nights, their journey was marked by long silences and quiet conversations. Goggins shared stories of his past, his relentless pursuit of endurance, his tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, and battles with his own demons. The hobbits, in turn, spoke of the Shire, their simple lives, and their longing to return to the safety of their homes. Strider, ever vigilant, led them through hidden valleys and along forgotten trails, his knowledge of the land invaluable but outdated and corrected regularly by Goggins' own ranger knowledge. He taught them how to move silently, to blend into their surroundings, and to stay alert for any sign of danger. "Shut the fuck up. You hear that? That's a bitch-ass rabbit. Merry," he said, pointing a finger at the frightened hobbit. "Go kill that motherfucker." He handed Merry a standard-issue carbon steel U.S. Navy SEAL combat knife and gave him a sharp nudge forward. Merry returned a short while later, proudly holding up his kill for all to see and looking very pleased with himself. "Confirmed kill," shouted Goggins. "Excellent work, soldier. Sam, get this cooked." Sam looked annoyed but followed the order without hesitation. That evening, as they gathered around a small fire, enjoying the now-cooked rabbit, Frodo spoke up. "Strider, do you really think we'll make it to Rivendell?" Strider looked at him, his expression serious but kind. We will, Frodo. But the road is still long and fraught with danger. We must remain vigilant. And what if we encounter the Black Riders? Pippin asked, his voice trembling. Then I got this Glock with me, interjected Goggins, pulling a strange mechanical-looking contraption from a concealed holster. A couple slugs should put one of those fools to sleep. Mighty is the weaponry of the mire, said Strider in admiration. I stashed some more gear on Weathertop when I met Gandalf. An assault rifle, couple grenades, some body armor, and a shit ton of bullets. As the stars shone overhead, they drifted off to sleep, the weight of their mission heavy on their minds. Knowledge of the inevitable abomination, should they fail, strengthened their determination. Morning came swiftly, the first light of dawn breaking over the hills. They quickly packed up camp and set off once more. Eventually, the landscape began to change. The terrain grew rockier, and the air turned cooler as they reached closer to Weathertop. Strider guided them with unerring precision, his knowledge of the land evident as they navigated the increasingly treacherous path. By the time they reached Weathertop, the sun was beginning to set. Strider led them to a sheltered spot on the hillside, a natural fortification offering some protection from the elements and any prying eyes. We have reached Weathertop far sooner than I expected. We'll rest here for the night, Strider announced, looking pleased but wary as he dismounted and helped the hobbits with their packs. I need to look for any signs or messages Gandalf may have left. I will be back soon. Light no fire and stay close. I'll be back soon too. I gotta go get my shit, said Goggins, also leaving. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the rugged landscape of Weathertop. The hobbits huddled together, their nerves on edge in the gathering darkness. Strider and Goggins had both departed, leaving the hobbits alone and vulnerable. Despite Strider's assurance, a deep sense of unease settled over them. Do you think they'll be back soon? Asked Pippin anxiously. I hope so, replied Sam, trying to sound braver than he felt. Although not particularly fond of Mr. Goggins, due primarily to the hefty beating he'd taken at his hands. He would still have felt safer in that place with him there. We just need to stay together and stay quiet. As the night grew darker, a chill wind swept over Weathertop. The hobbits strained their ears, hoping to catch any sound of their returning companions. Instead, an eerie silence settled over the hill, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves. Suddenly, a distant sound reached their ears. A faint, otherworldly wail that sent shivers down their spines. The hobbits instinctively drew closer together, their eyes darting around in fear. Do you hear that? Whispered Pippin, his voice barely audible. It's those Black Riders, shrieked Merry. Before they could react, dark, menacing shapes emerged from the shadows, gliding silently towards them. The hobbits froze in terror as the ring wraiths closed in, their presence suffocating. Frodo clutched the ring in his pocket, feeling its weight like never before. Stay back, he shouted, though his voice trembled. The ring wraiths paid no heed to his warning. One of them stepped forward, drawing a long, wicked blade. The air around him seemed to grow colder, the shadows deeper. Give us the ring, hissed the foremost wraith, his voice chilling and venomous. Just as the ring wraith raised his blade to strike, a deafening roar echoed across Weathertop. Stay hard, motherfuckers. Goggins burst onto the scene, a whirlwind of deadly precision. He was clad in full military gear, an assault rifle slung across his chest, grenades hanging from his belt, wearing body armor and a helmet. Without hesitation, he charged at the foremost ring wraith, tackling him to the ground and plunging a knife repeatedly into the wraith's ethereal form. The wraith let out an unearthly scream, writhing under Goggins' relentless assault. The other ring wraiths turned their attention to this unexpected threat, but Goggins was already on his feet, his rifle blazing. Bullets tore through the night, striking the ring wraiths and sending them reeling. Eat, lead motherfuckers, roared Goggins. One by one, the ring wraiths began falling back, the sheer ferocity of Goggins' attack overwhelming them. But Goggins did not relent. He lobbed a grenade into their midst, the explosion lighting up the night and scattering the ringwraiths. They fled into the shadows, their shrieks of fear and pain echoing across Weathertop. In the midst of the chaos, Frodo found himself cornered by the clearly injured wraith Goggins had mauled. It raised its blade, ready to strike. Time seemed to slow as the blade descended, but before it could reach Frodo, Goggins leapt in front of him, taking the knife in his shoulder, but managing to save the little hobbit. "I'm hit," shouted Goggins, roaring in pain and fury. He grabbed the ringwraith by the throat, forcing it to drop its knife. "Not today, motherfucker," he growled, driving his knife into the wraith's abdomen. The ringwraith screeched and disintegrated into the night like a little bitch, leaving behind only its tattered robes. Goggins, breathing heavily and clutching his wounded shoulder, turned to Frodo and the other hobbits. "You okay, little man?" Frodo, shaken but unharmed, nodded. "Thank you, Mr. Goggins. You saved my life. You saved all our lives. It ain't nothing, brother." At that moment, Strider returned, his sword drawn and his eyes wide with concern. "What happened here?" "Where was you, motherfucker?" asked Goggins. "I was scouting up ahead when I heard fighting. I came as fast as I could," replied Strider, looking slightly embarrassed. "These little bitches tried to kill the hobbits, but they weren't shit." "You're hurt," said Strider, seeing Goggins' bloody shoulder. "That ain't nothing. I ain't no bitch." Strider stooped down and picked up the wraith's blade. "This is beyond my skill to heal. We must get you Rivendell to swiftly before you pass into the Shadow Realm. You've been stabbed by a Morgul blade, my friend. Dark magic is infused in the blades of the enemy." He straightened up and surveyed the scene. "You killed a Nazgul?" he gasped, sounding shaken. "Damn straight. Took that motherfucker's soul. But your own blade survived," continued Strider in awe, looking down at the slightly smoking blade still in Goggins' hand. "Standard issue carbon steel. This baby would cut through 100 of those bitch-ass niggers with ease. You did well, Mr. Goggins. You are the only man to have killed a Nazgul. I appreciate that, Chief, but we need to move out before those fuckers regroup." Goggins, still limping from his injury, stubbornly refused the steed offered by Strider. Determined to push through the pain, he marched alongside the hobbits, his gruff demeanor masking the toll the injury was taking on him. As the day wore on, the group traveled through dense forests and across rocky terrains, avoiding well-trodden paths to evade their pursuers. The impact of Goggins' wound grew more pronounced with each passing hour, and by nightfall, it was clear that even he needed attention. "We'll stop here for the night," announced Strider, selecting a small, secluded spot in a forest clearing. The area was surrounded by thick cover, offering some measure of concealment. "Merry Pippin, gather wood for a fire. We need to tend to Mr. Goggins' wound." "Sit down, Mr. Goggins," said Strider, gesturing to a flat rock near the fire. "Let me take a look at that shoulder." As Strider tended to his wound, Goggins began to fade in and out of consciousness. "You must resist the pull of the Nazgul's poison," urged Strider. "It feels like that hooker back on duty who tried to suck out my soul in Afghanistan." "You have experienced this before?" asked Strider, taken aback. "Don't tell me you've never had a bad bitch try take your soul." "I have not faced that trial. Nor do I believe I am ready for it. I think I shit myself," said Goggins, feeling a warmth below and wincing in pain as he turned to check. "I cannot heal you here. I have found you some Athelas to slow the poison of the enemy, but only Elrond can save you now. He is the greatest of healers. We're still 4 days from Rivendell. We must hurry if we are to save you from passing from your wound." He cleaned the wound with water, then applied crushed herbs he carried in a small leather pouch. "This will help with the pain and keep the infection at bay." "That shit smells hella good," said Goggins, smelling the wholesome aroma of the Athelas. Goggins watched in silence as Strider worked, his jaw clenched against the discomfort. The hobbits, having finished their task, gathered around the fire, their faces illuminated by its soft glow. "Is Mr. Goggins going to be all right?" asked Frodo in concern. "He'll be fine," assured Strider, wrapping a clean bandage around the wound. "But we must get him to Rivendell quickly." As the company pressed onward towards Rivendell, Goggins' wound continued to take its toll. He fought through the pain with his usual grit and determination, refusing to let it slow him down. Strider led the way, ever vigilant, while the hobbits struggled to keep pace. By the time they reached the borders of Rivendell, the hobbits were exhausted and Goggins was delirious. The familiar sense of dread loomed over them as they neared the ford of Bruinen. Just as they were about to cross the ford, the eerie screeches of the Black Riders echoed through the air. The Ringwraith, relentless in their pursuit, had caught up to them. Strider drew his sword. "They're here," shouted Strider, his voice tense. "Stay close, and whatever happens, keep moving towards Rivendell." The hobbits huddled together in fear, their eyes darting to Goggins for help. Despite his injury, Goggins readied his assault rifle. "Stay hard, little bitches," he growled. "We ain't done yet." The Ringwraiths appeared from the shadows, their dark forms riding menacingly on their black horses. Their presence seemed to drain the warmth from the surroundings, casting fear over the group. Goggins moved forward on his steed, his rifle at the ready. "Spooky-ass bitches, come get some," he yelled, opening fire. The burst of gunfire shattered the night, bullets ripping through the air and striking the horses. The steeds screamed in pain, collapsing under the assault. The Wraith were thrown from their mounts, their ghostly forms writhing on the ground. Though the bullets did not kill the Ringwraiths, they caused them immense pain, their ethereal bodies convulsing with each hit. Goggins continued to fire, sheer will and focus clear upon his face as he emptied his magazine into the dark figures. "Run across the ford," shouted Strider, pushing the hobbits forward. "Now!" As Goggins finished firing his last rounds at the approaching Black Riders, he saw a powerful wave rising from the Bruinen River, forming a mighty flood which came crashing down upon the Ringwraiths. As the adrenaline ebbed away, his vision blurred. Goggins' grip on his assault rifle slackened, and he slumped forward, slipping from his horse. He fell to the ground, unconscious, his body finally succumbing to the cumulative toll of his injuries and exertion.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. If you enjoyed the journey and are eager for more wild fan fiction, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your fellow fans, and subscribe for more episodes. And if you're as enchanted by the idea of Middle-earth meeting Hogwarts as we are, make sure to check out our series exploring this magical crossover. Your support brings these worlds to life. Until next time, keep the fantasy alive.